The Galactic Council, a vast assembly of the galaxy's most powerful and advanced species, had governed the cosmos for centuries. Each member race held power over its own sphere of influence, with each world's needs and laws settled by a carefully balanced bureaucracy. Within this collective, power was an unspoken game of manipulation, strategy, and diplomatic maneuvering. To the Council, the universe was a machine, one that worked only as long as it followed the predetermined rules. Humanity, however, had long been an anomaly in this system. A century ago, Earth's fleet had been a formidable force in galactic warfare, a force to be reckoned with, equipped with technology far ahead of its time. Earth had been a crucial ally in the early stages of the war against a mysterious alien species that seemed to vanish just as abruptly as they had appeared. But after that war, the fleet vanished without a trace, and humanity fell into isolation. Earth, now seen as a primitive world, had been forgotten by the broader galactic community. Over time, the galaxy's elites began to view humans not as a threat, but as an irrelevance. Earth, they reasoned, was too far from the pulse of galactic politics to ever pose a danger again. And with no military presence in space, there was little concern for humanity's future. The Galactic Council had long since relegated Earth to a backwater status. It was a world of no consequence, far from the corridors of power, and as such, it had been left to its own devices. However, in recent years, Earth had been quietly advancing. Scientific breakthroughs, particularly in artificial intelligence and deep space exploration, had been accelerating at a pace that no one had anticipated. Earth's military, under the radar, had been quietly building its strength, preparing for a future none but a few humans could foresee. But it wasn't the military's efforts that would catch the attention of the Galactic Council. No, it was the sudden and unprecedented diplomatic shift, the appearance of Earth's first fleet after a century of disappearance, that set the wheels of disaster in motion. Zaura, a Zrixian representative, had never been one to shy away from power. With a swift rise through the council ranks, Zaura had become one of the most influential voices in the assembly. The Zrixians, a race of cold, calculating bureaucrats, valued control above all else. Zaura had long seen Earth as a thorn in the side of galactic governance. The humans' unexpected advances in technology, particularly their surprising ability to engineer new energy sources, had begun to raise eyebrows. With an unquenchable thirst for power, Zaura had no intention of letting humanity's potential go unchallenged. And so, the proposal was put forward: Earth would be stripped of its sovereignty. The justification was simple. The humans had become far too technologically advanced for their own good, with no oversight or accountability to the Galactic Council. Their fleets, hidden from view for so long, were suddenly too powerful, and thus too dangerous, to be allowed to operate beyond the Council's jurisdiction. It wasn't just a matter of political subjugation, it was a matter of control. If Earth's military could be eliminated, the entire species could be forced to bend to the will of the Council. At first, the move was met with hesitation. Some members of the Council voiced their concerns. The Teldrani, a peaceful species of philosophers, had long advocated for a hands-off approach to humanity. The Firians, an ancient race of diplomats, pointed out that Earth had not shown any signs of aggression in over 100 years. But those voices were drowned out by Zaura's relentless campaign of persuasion. We cannot allow a species that has shown the capacity for such rapid advancement to exist outside our control, Zaura had argued in one of the most heated debates. What happens when they learn how to build ships that can rival ours? What happens when their technology exceeds our understanding? We cannot afford such a risk. And so, the Council voted. Earth was to be placed under galactic oversight, its military forces disbanded, and its research monitored by a newly appointed counselor. The decision was made with the usual bureaucratic efficiency, with little regard for the consequences. After all, what harm could a primitive species pose in a galaxy full of vastly superior civilizations? On Earth, the news came as a shock. The leaders of humanity had no idea that the Council had even taken an interest in their world. Earth's government had always operated in relative isolation, focusing on internal matters rather than intergalactic politics. No one on Earth had suspected that a simple bureaucratic decision could upend their future. But the Galactic Council's decree was not an isolated event. As the proposal went through, Earth's military, quietly rebuilding and rearming, had already detected the first signs of interference. Communications from the Council's representatives were intercepted, their plans made known to those few humans still active in the higher echelons of military command. The Council's decision was clear: Earth was to be rendered helpless. Yet, the Galactic Council had failed to account for one crucial factor: the Forgotten Fleet. For over 100 years, the fleet had remained dormant, hidden in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Its ships, massive and ancient by human standards, had been preserved by an advanced AI system designed to protect them from both external threats and internal corruption. The fleet's commanding officers, human minds preserved within the ship's AI cores, had been waiting for an order that never came. The fleet's weapons, thought deactivated, had been quietly recharged and recalibrated. But no one, not even Earth's leaders, knew the fleet still existed. The decision by the Galactic Council to strike at Earth's sovereignty had inadvertently awakened this sleeping giant. The fleet's AI systems, still tethered to Earth's long-abandoned command structure, began to re-establish contact with human command. Unknown to the Council, the fleet had already begun to mobilize. The first test of power came not with a direct confrontation, but with a subtle act of defiance. The fleet sent a single, untraceable message across the stars, an encrypted transmission, so cryptic that no one in the galaxy could decipher it. But the meaning was clear to those who knew the ancient code: Earth was not a defenseless world. And the Galactic Council's greatest mistake had just begun. Zaura, the Zrixian representative, was one of the newest and most ambitious members of the Galactic Council. The Zrixians had long been one of the most powerful and influential species in the galaxy, known for their ruthlessness and political savvy. Zaura's rise to power had been swift, and her eyes were fixed on an even greater prize: the total subjugation of Earth. To her, humanity was a liability, and its unchecked technological growth posed a potential threat to the delicate balance the Council had carefully crafted over millennia. Zaura was not alone in her ambitions. As a coalition of various species, the Galactic Council was never unanimous in its decisions. But many saw Earth's recent technological advancements as troubling. Despite being considered backward, the humans had managed to develop weapons of mass destruction capable of rivaling some of the most advanced fleets in the galaxy. The Council had long assumed that humanity's war with the mysterious alien race, known only as the Tsar, had left Earth devastated and incapable of any future threats. But the truth was far more complex. The humans had spent the century since the war recovering, hidden from galactic sight. Their once powerful fleet, including warships like the Excalibur, the pride of humanity's military forces, had been believed to be destroyed. What the Council didn't know was that, while their fleet was gone from the skies, it had not been lost. The fleet had simply vanished into a hidden sector of space, its vast array of warships now dormant, awaiting the day when they would reawaken. For decades, Earth's AI defense systems had kept the ships in stasis, waiting for a signal that would never come, as the fleet was assumed destroyed. But now, Earth had begun to stir. The AI systems, operating under strict instructions left by long-dead commanders, had begun to activate the fleet once more. The ships, untouched by time, had reactivated in secret. The Excalibur, the flagship of humanity's fleet, stood at the heart of this force, a behemoth of advanced weaponry and nearly forgotten technology. But there was no one left to command them. The old leaders of Earth's military had long since passed, and the current generation of humans, while intelligent, had no idea what lay hidden in the cold depths of space. As the Council's decision to strip Earth of its sovereignty loomed closer, it was clear that Zaura and her faction had no interest in letting the humans remain a free and independent species. With the backing of the most influential races in the Council, she introduced a resolution to subject Earth to complete galactic law. The Zrixian representative argued that humanity's technological leaps had come from forbidden research that, in her eyes, must have been stolen or acquired through illicit means. The implication was clear: humanity could not be trusted with such power. The proposal was simple: Earth would no longer be allowed to operate in isolation. A new galactic protectorate would be established on Earth, its government replaced by a council-appointed overseer. The resources of Earth, its scientific knowledge, and its population would be harvested, all for the betterment of galactic unity. Zaura was determined that this new order would usher in a new age of peace, a peace under the firm control of the Galactic Council. The resolution was met with mixed reactions. Some council members agreed with Zaura's assessment of Earth as a growing threat. Others were more hesitant, concerned about provoking a species that had once been a formidable military force. The debate was fierce, but Zaura's political maneuvering ultimately won out. With the backing of key council factions, the vote passed in a landslide. The resolution was final: Earth would be brought under the Galactic Council's authority. Unbeknownst to the Council, Earth had already taken its first step back into the galaxy's larger stage. The fleet, though dormant, was no longer passive. The signal had finally been received. After 100 years in stasis, the forgotten ships had begun to stir, one by one, as the humans prepared for an event they could never have anticipated. But for Zaura, the Zrixian representative, the real mistake had already been made. She had underestimated humanity's ability to rise again. The resolution's passage was the trigger that set events in motion. The first ship to reawaken was the Excalibur. Its AI, now fully operational after centuries of dormancy, immediately began to scan its surroundings, detecting the new galactic laws that had just been passed. The AI analyzed the situation, evaluating the threat that had emerged. The crew, long dead, would never return to their posts, but the ship's systems could still operate with precision and ruthlessness. It was a warship, and it would respond to threats as it was programmed to do. Within hours, all the ships of Earth's forgotten fleet began to hum with life. The fleet's automated systems were the first to register the galactic shift. They were designed to respond to hostile threats and to protect humanity from external aggression. The fleet's revival was a hidden, powerful force, one that the Galactic Council had not anticipated. The human fleet, forgotten for so long, had not simply been preserved, it had been lying in wait, its weapons systems untouched, its advanced AI systems ready to execute any command with deadly efficiency. As Zaura celebrated her victory in the council chambers, her words ringing in the ears of the galaxy's most influential species, the first transmissions from the Excalibur were sent out. To the council, they would be a warning: humanity had not forgotten how to fight. And the fleet, silent for so long, was ready to rise again, responding to the provocation it had been waiting for. The Galactic Council's decision to target Earth came with the unanimous backing of Zaura and her allies. The reasoning was simple: humanity was no longer a part of the galactic equation, and its technological developments were beginning to breach the threshold set by the Council. Earth had quietly begun unlocking scientific advancements far beyond what the Council had expected from such a primitive species. More than that, humans had developed an uncanny ability to adapt, innovate, and solve problems at an astonishing rate. To the Council, Earth was a ticking time bomb that needed to be defused before it could pose any real threat. Zaura's decree was final: Earth's sovereignty would be stripped, and humanity would be forced to submit to the jurisdiction of the Galactic Council. Any resistance would be met with swift and overwhelming force. The fleet was ready, the Zrixians were ready. In their minds, the decision had already been made: humanity was a relic of the past, a species that had outlived its usefulness. But what the Galactic Council did not anticipate was the reawakening of the Excalibur and its fleet. Over the years, Earth's AI systems had been silently monitoring galactic communications, waiting for the signal to revive the fleet. For over a century, they had remained dormant, never receiving the directive to act. But now, with the Council's decree, the dormant system had triggered. An ancient signal, buried deep in the fabric of Earth's defense protocols, finally activated. And with it, the fleet began to stir. The Excalibur, an imposing battleship that had once been a symbol of humanity's might, awoke first. Its AI, originally designed to command and protect the fleet, reasserted control over the ship's systems. The ship's sensors activated, scanning the surrounding space for threats, and it quickly locked onto the source of the threat, the Galactic Council's fleet, heading toward Earth. As the Excalibur powered up, the other ships of the Forgotten Fleet followed suit. A dozen colossal warships, each a marvel of human engineering and design, slowly roused from their stasis. These ships were equipped with technologies that the Council had long since deemed impossible: energy weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets, defensive shields that rendered conventional attacks useless, and advanced artificial intelligence systems that allowed for unprecedented levels of autonomous decision-making. The fleet was ready. And they were not alone. Earth's hidden military had quietly prepared for this day, knowing that the moment would come when the galaxy would once again notice their existence. They had been biding their time, hidden from the Council's watchful eyes. But now, with their fleet awakened, they were no longer a species on the fringes of galactic politics. They were a power to be reckoned with. But this was not just about the survival of humanity. It was about reclaiming a lost legacy and proving to the galaxy that Earth had not been forgotten. The Excalibur and its sister ships were more than mere military vessels. They were symbols of human ingenuity, endurance, and defiance. The fleet's reawakening sent a powerful message across the galaxy: Earth had not only survived, it had thrived, and it was ready to fight for its place in the stars. Zaura, meanwhile, was unaware of the impending storm. The Council's decision was already in motion. Diplomatic channels were being activated, and the fleet's course was set. Earth would be brought to heel, no questions asked. It was an easy calculation in their minds. There would be no resistance. The Council had far more powerful ships at its disposal, and humanity had not been a significant player in galactic affairs for centuries. But as the Council fleet approached, their sensors began to detect an anomaly. Something was wrong. Earth's defenses, long thought inert, were coming online at a pace far beyond what anyone had expected. The Excalibur had begun transmitting messages to the other ships, and within moments, the entire fleet was mobilizing. The Council's fleet, upon realizing the unexpected presence of a fully operational fleet of warships, hesitated. They scrambled to reconfigure their strategies, but it was too late. Humanity's forgotten fleet was no longer dormant. The first salvo of energy beams fired from the Excalibur hit a Zrixian destroyer with terrifying precision. The Zrixian ship, once considered invulnerable, disintegrated in a blaze of light, a testament to the overwhelming power of humanity's forgotten weapons. The other ships in the Council fleet attempted to retaliate, but they quickly realized that the humans' technology had far surpassed what they had thought possible. The battle, once believed to be a mere formality, had escalated into a nightmare for the Galactic Council. Zaura's eyes widened as the first wave of humanity's fleet tore through the Council's forces with brutal efficiency. The Zrixians, confident in their technological superiority, had underestimated humanity's hidden potential. They had underestimated Earth's ability to fight for its survival, and now they were facing the consequences of their arrogance. As the battle unfolded, the true scale of the conflict became clear. Humanity's fleet was not just a collection of ships, it was a symbol of something far more profound. It was a declaration that the past had not been forgotten, that Earth's legacy would not be erased, and that the galaxy would never again underestimate the tenacity of humanity. The Excalibur was no longer just a weapon of war, it was the rallying cry of a species that had been pushed to the edge but had refused to be silenced. In that moment, humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer a question. It was a certainty. The Excalibur's awakening was not a silent affair. The massive warship systems hummed to life, its artificial intelligence calculating the surrounding threats and determining the appropriate response. The ship's advanced weaponry powered up, its once dormant reactors now firing with life. The entire fleet followed suit, one by one, their own systems coming online as the long-forgotten warships rose from their stasis. They were more than mere machines, they were sentient, with the memories of their commanders and the might of humanity's lost golden age embedded within them. The fleet was a testament to an era when humanity ruled the stars, an era the galaxy had long forgotten. Back on Earth, the first signs of the fleet's reawakening were subtle, nothing more than faint ripples in the fabric of deep space. The signal had been received by Earth's most advanced defense systems, which had been lying dormant for a century. The AI infrastructure, designed to protect humanity in case of a galactic emergency, began to relay information to Earth's governing bodies. At first, it seemed like a glitch. But soon, it became clear, the fleet had returned. It wasn't long before Zaura and the rest of the Council learned of the fleet's reactivation. The news spread like wildfire, a ripple of fear and confusion coursing through the ranks of the Galactic Council. For a moment, no one knew how to react. The thought of humanity's fleet returning to the fold after a century of presumed destruction was almost unthinkable. The Council had assumed they had wiped out Earth's military capabilities, reduced them to a backward species with no power to stand up to the might of the galaxy. They had forgotten one thing, the resilience of humanity. Zaura's calculated arrogance began to falter as the implications of the fleet's return set in. She had expected Earth to submit quietly, to bow to the might of the Council without resistance. But now, humanity's forgotten fleet was moving toward the core of the galaxy, with clear intent and purpose. For the first time in a century, the galaxy felt the weight of humanity's unspoken power once again. The fleets began to align themselves into formation, their weapons primed and ready. The Excalibur, with its commanding presence, stood at the helm. Its AI, though ancient, had absorbed all of humanity's strategic knowledge and military doctrines over the years, giving it an almost intuitive understanding of galactic warfare. The ship's sensors detected several of the Council's own ships, and they recognized the enemy fleet's movement. The first tactical decisions were made, and the once quiet sector was now a stage for the reawakening of a war long thought forgotten. Zaura knew she had to act fast. The Council's strength was in its unity, its ability to enforce laws with an iron fist. However, that unity had always relied on keeping the smaller, less powerful species in check. Humanity, in its isolation, had grown stronger, and now it threatened to upset the delicate power balance. Zaura sent orders to deploy the fleet, sending her most trusted commanders to engage Earth's forces. But this time, there was a difference. Earth was no longer a distant planet. Humanity's fleet was out there, hidden in the shadows of deep space, and it was ready to fight. The Galactic Council, for all its power and resources, was not prepared for the kind of warfare humanity could bring. The Council's ships were technologically advanced, but the Excalibur and its fleet had something more: experience, innovation, and a sense of desperation. Earth's fleet had been built for total war, a war the galaxy had long since forgotten. The Council, on the other hand, relied on politics and subterfuge, the manipulation of systems and structures. It was a game they had perfected, but it was a game Earth had once mastered as well. And now, the rules had changed. The first encounter was nothing short of devastating. The Zrixian ships, sleek and powerful, attempted to engage the Excalibur's fleet, but they were met with an unexpected ferocity. Earth's ships weren't just advanced, they were brutal, with no mercy shown to their attackers. Human ingenuity and innovation had created ships that could withstand nearly any assault, while delivering blows that could tear through even the toughest alien hulls. The battle was swift, a stark reminder that the galaxy's elites had underestimated humanity. Earth's fleet had the element of surprise, and they used it to their advantage, overwhelming the Zrixian forces in the blink of an eye. Zaura, watching from the safety of her command center, seethed with anger. She had underestimated the humans, and now she was paying the price. Her orders had been clear: Earth's fleet was to be neutralized. But the humans were proving that they had more than just advanced technology, they had a resolve and will to fight that the Council's well-oiled political machine could never have anticipated. Zaura's once solid plan was crumbling in front of her. The battle continued to escalate, with Earth's fleet pushing deeper into Council-controlled space. As the Excalibur's weaponry tore through enemy ships, the AI that commanded it began to reanalyze its tactics, calculating the best approach to counter the Council's next move. This was not just a war for survival, it was a declaration. Humanity was not a species to be ignored or subjugated. They would not simply bend to the will of the Galactic Council. In the midst of this chaos, an unexpected twist emerged. As Earth's fleet advanced, it became clear that the Zrixians weren't the only ones at stake. The entire Galactic Council, now realizing the true threat Earth posed, began to fracture. Zalra's power, once unchallenged, was no longer assured. The once united council was now split, with several factions secretly negotiating with Earth's fleet, offering alliances in exchange for protection. A new order was emerging, one where humanity was no longer the forgotten species of the galaxy. And they were ready to write their own future.